There was a thing up a couple of weeks ago when the internet was down and I was out of town to extend contracts through the end of the year.
That's for the annual contracts.
But
They did that, yeah.
They did. I thought.
And then we'll do the special projects.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry? I bet he forgot. Somebody
I
called.
haven't seen you in ages, it feels like.
Go ahead and call this meeting to order. Let the record show that at this point all aldermen are present except for Mr. McHenry. I'd like to have a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second. Motion by Mike and a second by Ron. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, I need a motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Osborne, second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
Patty?
All right, let me see.
It's on.
Is that working?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what we're gonna do tonight is we're gonna present the budget, and then I guess if anybody has any comments, then the mayor can ask for comments. And as I go through, I'm gonna present it, and then when we get done, the board, if they have any comments, if we make any changes between now and when we adopt it, that night that I come up again, I will tell you of any changes. If for some reason, sometimes there's just mild modifications made to it, okay? So we're gonna start with general fund. So general fund, there is an assessment this year, and so our property taxes are gonna go up about, we're gonna receive about $380,000 more than what we've been receiving. That's a surprise for, I guess, everybody don't know that yet. So when we look down through here, most of this is the same as it was last year. The revenue came in pretty much on target, and it pretty much stays the same with the utility companies. I'm gonna look down through here. The sales tax, we started last year with it at 5.2, and it's gonna come in at 6. So in this budget, I've still got it on here at 5.8. There's been some talk about lowering it to 5.7, just in case, just to make sure, and that's something that the board can kind of think about. Give us a little bit more breathing room in case it doesn't come in. I think it will, but is that something y'all would like to see lowered a little bit, the 5.8?
I think that would be fine with me. I mean, there's no need in putting something there that I guarantee. I think, we're going through some, with COVID and everything, it's grown. I think if we do, it'll be a little more on the safe side.
Anybody else have any ideals? So just to let you know, 5.8 is about $483,000 a month. That's what the average is. Right now, it's averaging about 510, but I don't know if COVID could affect it. I don't know if the storm could affect it.
Well,
I mean, if y'all want a little bit more safety factor, it can always be upped. It's a little harder to lower it. So if anybody,
Talking about budget, we're talking about lowering that to 5.7 rather than 5.8.
I mean, realistically,
Budget,
realistic, 5.8 I think is fine. Realistically, you're only talking, if you lower 5.7, less than $10,000 a month. I mean, the first round of COVID, when we actually shut down businesses and stuff, when we reopened in less than a month, we were back up in record territory. So I don't see where it's going to impact it substantially. If it does, it'll be a lot more than $10,000 a month.
So what would happen is if we leave it alone, once we get going in the year, if it doesn't look like it's coming in, you'll see me do a budget amendment, probably 3 months, 4 months in.
and that's fine, that
Yeah.
can be done. I was hoping we would get more back in line with pre-COVID numbers, what we had in the budget, what we proposed. But I mean, as long as we can,
We can adjust it. If I'm not coming in and, yeah. If we don't look like we're gonna get the 483,000 a month, then, this year we won't be limited on budget amendments. We were this last year because of the election. Then when we were moving down through there, there's a little bit of changes in the budget this year. Like we have taken out, we are going to make the Tacony compound over there where the YMCA, Head Start, and Lighthouse is. That's no longer going to be in this budget. That's going to have a fund of its own. That's going to do a couple of things. It's going to have us start building a reserve of funds in there for repairs by having its own fund. It'll have it, if they don't use all their maintenance each year, we'll start to build the savings. And it'll also show you more true cost on what that building is bringing in versus what we're putting out. And I think that's going to be further down in here. So, anybody have any questions that you guys want to talk about in income that y'all are seeing that I'm not hitting? But everything else is kind of staying steady. As you know, we dropped our interest rate last year quite a bit. We're down to like 10,000. That was a pretty hard hit. We were getting 2%, and now we're not paying any fees, but we're only getting like 0.15 in interest. I'm told the banks are flush with cash, so they don't hardly have to pay any interest right now. As a matter of fact, I was told our money costs them money because it has to be so federally insured because it's government money. So that was a little bit of a loss to us this year because that had been some nice income for a while. If y'all don't have any questions on the income for general fund, it increased by $306,000, and that's basically the assessment from last year. So the income's looking like it's going to be a little bit over $15 million. Then we go to the Board of Aldermen's Fund, and there's been a couple of changes in here. I've added a line for annexation in case we decide to start a study to see if we're ready to move forward with that. I'm not sure exactly what that'll cost, but last time I think it was around $100,000, so I've put $125,000. I've put that in your budget, that way y'all will make the decision on how we move forward with that. We also have the $100,000 that we're going to transfer to the reserve fund. That'll put the reserve fund at $1.2 million plus interest. I'm not sure exactly what that number is, but that'll put probably like, I think interest is like maybe $22,000 in there right now. So it'll be 1.2. We're going to receive $20,000 from the county, but it's to go to a nonprofit, and so it's just going to transfer through your budget at this point to the nonprofit that's running the theater. It would just be, and then they're going to keep up with the accounting on that, and then we can get that from them. They want to separate it out so we can see the accounting at all points. I have $50,000 in here. That may not be used or may have to be increased. It's all according to how many grants that Carolyn pulls through. There's some other grants down in here, but this is just a little bit in here so we don't be quite so shocked if some of them come through. And I don't know if she knows of what might come through. I did not list them out, and I don't know that she could probably even tell you that.
Not off the top of my head. I do have a list if you want to go over them, but these are applications that you're aware of that have gone through for approval to apply for, but we haven't been awarded. And it's not all of the match that we would need, but we don't know if we're going to get all of them. So it's really a placeholder to offset, like she said, so it's not a surprise. Because some of them probably are eligible to come from 2 cents, some of them could come from cash ending, so it's just to have a placeholder there. And so if awarded, this would get transferred into whatever
Right.
grant budget.
Every time she gets one, if the match is $20,000, at that point, we'll move it out from the 50, so you guys can kind of watch it, because it'll be a vote by y'all to make that move, to approve the grant. It's just kind of another safety zone for you guys to have the full control. Anybody have any questions on the Board of Aldermen? So the next one is the court department. The court department went up about 49,000, and that is because we increased to a third court clerk. We really have found that it cannot run with just two. And we had 3 part-time warrants officer. We haven't had 3 in the last 3 or 4 years, so I took away one of those positions to help offset that. And I think the police department is serving more warrants in town to help offset that. That's what I've been told by Morvant. And so that's the only thing really changed in the court budget. Everything else is basically the same. Anybody have any questions there? I'm just going to move on, and if y'all have a question, y'all can stop me. The mayor's budget. Let me see if there's anything exciting in there. We put in the 2 engineers, just their day-to-day over streets is in here for general fund part. Then they have some in public works. This is just for the drainage issues in the other. BMA's in here for the developments and all that they work with Carolyn over. And then any outside grants and all are not charged here. This is day-to-day. The attorney fees are here, nothing new there. We do have some money in here for consulting services until we figure out where we're headed with the money coming down from the feds. That's in here. It may not all get used. It may. That's a discussion as we move into deciding on contracts and all with them.
Miscellaneous promotions you think is enough?
Which one is it? Miscellaneous? Usually all that goes there is like the $1,000 dinner for,
Humanitarian?
when is that? Does anybody remember? We need to make sure we all know that.
It's coming up.
Yeah, so that's gonna, that table's gonna hold 10 people. So we need to make sure we have 10 people there.
Patty, that might be something we might want to do about 5,000.
Okay.
I think 2,000 is
We have been doing a little bit more.
That's fine. We can change that one. I'm gonna go ahead and just write to the side that I'm gonna make that 5,000. Yeah, like we gave $500 to something to do with the dogs. There's just little things that kind of come along. We are gonna have an ad in the annual this year. I'm quite excited, and that's $250.
And that should come out of that.
And that would come out there also.
And that's some stuff we have been doing.
Right, so.
That's gonna date everybody too, because if you graduated from Ocean Spring Schools, it's gonna have your graduation year there.
Right.
I didn't know
Awesome.
you were so old like that.
Well,
Yeah.
You look like that.
I appreciate that, yeah.
Very excited about
That's
that.
awesome. That's wonderful.
As y'all know, we got hounded. It just really made my day. Supervision and finance. In my budget, you'll see a pretty big decrease in the computer software and support. That's where we have basically got the new accounting with Tyler for water, and the general ledger is purchased now, so now we're just into the yearly maintenance. So that's why there's a decrease, but don't worry, it's gonna catch back up in the police department in a minute. It's gonna get used somewhere else. Down here, I had put 100,000 in my budget when we were looking at the loans that we chose not to get yet. I've pulled it back out because we're gonna deal with the loan, and at that point, we'll decide where all that's going. That was for the city hall roof and all. And yeah, that's what it was in there for. And unless y'all want to move forward in the next month, that's actually going to fall into next year at this point. We probably couldn't get a roof put on in the next month if we tried. So, the election cost, we don't have them this year. That was 27,000 last year. We won't see that again. I'm not sure about redistricting. I've kind of pushed that to Carolyn and them. We'll have to see what the census does. We may have some costs there. I just don't know. If we do, we'll just have to adjust the budget at that point. You do think we will? Okay, well, and I don't know.
Preliminary numbers doesn't show, but we don't have the final numbers yet. so.
Yeah, that's not in here, but we'll just deal with that as it comes, since I just had no way of knowing that. I don't think there's anything exciting. We did not pull off getting a kitchen in City Hall this year. I don't have it in here again at this point because I just don't know how we would manage that. So we just had to let that go. That did not work out. Oh, there is something in this budget, and it came from one of the aldermen. I thought it was a great idea. We took the regular phone service for the city out of everybody's budget and we put it all in supervision and finance, because that's not something someone can make a choice about. So we put it all in here just so the board can tell that we pay $48,000 a year for the desk phones. Anything to do with that, and that's just a way to let us all know. When you spread it all out, it's really hard to know what the total cost is, and there's no need to spread that out. We also did that with the internet, or the bulk of the internet, which is $50,132. That's the Unity Fiber. And that's something we don't really have a choice about either. So we put it here just to keep up with it, so my budget just kind of still, actually it went down a little bit, but that's just because Tyler was paid.
We shopped that internet service.
Yeah.
$50,000.
Well, and we had that issue with Unity, so I think as more people are coming in, as you know, since we're having so many people lay fiber, I do think we will be shopping that as there's something about the points coming in and, you know, so. Right.
One out is negotiated.
Right.
Cost everybody.
Right.
Goes about 2 days.
I guess that's the only good positive about all the fiber being laid around is we might get some better pricing on that, so. Probably be next year, but yeah, we definitely will price that. We actually, our phone service went down $24,000 this year because we were gonna shop that and we got a $24,000 break.
I know I brought this up before, and I haven't really looked at it to see if they're still on there. There was, under the phone services, there was still some analog fax lines that I don't know that we even use anymore.
We tried to clean them up and some of them are alarms or something.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we found out, because sometimes we'll shut stuff off and then find out we've shut off alarm systems.
Okay, well,
I would like to have them all identified.
it'd be good if we
Yes.
had them called out as alarms instead of fax.
Right, I agree, yeah. And they do need to all be identified to make sure we're not paying for something we're not using. The Mary C has an elevator. And so does the fire department. They also have an elevator. So if we don't have any more questions there, we'll go to HR, the risk department. We already know that insurance went up a lot this year, so we had to, so that's in here. So that was, what, about $100,000 last year that we had an increase in all of our insurance, on our wind and hail and all. So that's, some of it's in Mindy's budget. Last year I broke that out to some of the buildings, like the Mary C and community, just so we can see what those buildings are cost. I did not break out City Hall and the police department and all. That's all held here in the HR budget. Let me see if there's anything else in there. I don't think there's anything else in hers that's different. We do budget now $4,000 for, you know, to offset wrecks and stuff, so we're just more prepared if we have those kind of things. We don't have any surprises. Civil service, they're not hardly using anything. It doesn't, I'm not sure if the test, we figured out a different way to get them. I know the fire chief was trying to figure out how to help get tests without paying. We used to pay a lot for them, but she didn't get any this year, so I'm not sure. So it just has the same budget basically as last year. The planning department, there is $100,000 in here for the comp plan. Ms. Martin's sitting there if y'all would like to have that discussion. Because we haven't had one, I'm told, since 2010.
Yeah.
Is that correct, guys?
Yeah, it's time, and they usually update it about every 10 years. So we're past due.
It's gonna take that much, do you think, because.
That would
shouldn't we
be,
able to pull that off the shelf and kind of dust it off,
Well,
tweak it?
yes and no. The last, when it was updated in 2010, it was a dust off. So, and it was also done during a time where we had a different planning director and a consultant that didn't necessarily agree on things. There's a lot of things in it that really need to be looked at. But we did talk about it during this process to see if we could scale it back some. And one proposal that we have is to maybe scale it down to 50 and do an evaluation of it to see what areas need a deeper dive and what areas haven't changed, where areas of the city have changed and need to be looked at more closely or not. So we could phase it in and start with an evaluation.
It was like Bob said, could we start out with a work
I
session?
think we need to Start
Yeah.
out with a work session and go all the way through the
Highlight
comprehensive.
it. figure
Yeah,
out what-
and get familiar with it first, and then we could bring in a consultant, or bring in a consultant to help lead that, but either way, it could be scaled down.
If you look at that plan, and we can email you that plan, it's.
It's online.
It's a lot of work. But one way we can save some money on that is, part of the annexation process is is a planning element that would
It would
overlap some with the comprehensive plan. So it would save some money, because some of that work would have to be done
Right.
in the annexation, so.
So if we get one consultant to help with both.
Does the same, the annexation and the comprehensive plan, then we'll save some money there. That's, I know it's a lot of money, but it's a very important document. When you have
There's a lot of
person
public
come
outreach
to
and-
Town looking for, to invest their money, that's the first thing they want to see in your
Yeah.
comprehensive plan.
And ours is at the cusp, and there have been a lot of changes, and like I said, when it was developed last time, was right not too long after Katrina, and we didn't necessarily go in the same directions that we thought we would at that time. So, but overlapping it, like I said, we did talk about that. If you did have a consultant in for the annexation, they could be tasked with at least doing an evaluation and identifying the areas that need a deeper dive.
It's gonna have to be done.
Yeah, it needs to be done.
Organization for that part of town anyway.
Right.
So that's that cost.
So however much you put in the budget, is up to you. 100,000 would be if you were doing it all as a standalone. So however we want to estimate.
Make sure the whole board is up to date on where we're going with this.
Yep.
I don't want that 100,000 just thrown out there to a consultant that's going after stuff that this board doesn't agree on.
No, and-
Make sure we do a work session.
Would there be a contract?
It would be a contract, and there would be work sessions and there's public forums for input. It's a whole process.
It takes about a year and a half
It,
to do one.
right, and I don't know if you remember it last year, like I said, it was around '09, it was adopted in '10, but it happened over '08 and '09, which is also kind of overlapped with some of the charrettes and some of the other things that were going on. So there was a lot going on to kind of offset those costs, and we got a grant for it last time. So that offset that as well. So, because that was after, it was a Katrina planning grant, so it's not available now.
Money, so there was-
Yeah.
There was a lot of things in there that
Yeah.
was hoping Katrina money would pay for that.
Correct. And it really is just a blueprint for where you want the city to go, and very much related to annexation. So if at least, 50 to 100 to overlap with the annexation, and it would be an open process.
Carolyn, I know you said we need to bring a consultant in to lead
Mhm.
that. Let's pull out the old comprehensive plan.
Sure.
And have a work session just amongst us without the consultant
Mhm.
first. Then let's get the consultant and move forward after that. Let's at least
Yeah.
get this board sitting around the table at work session.
We can provide a hard copy. There is an electronic copy. I think it is on the website. If not, we can email it out. As far as, the last draft, the last version of it. But I would invite y'all to go ahead and start looking through it now and get familiar with it. And we can kind of set up just a walkthrough and familiarization session with just staff. And while you get familiar with it, and then if we're going to bring on a consultant to do annexation, I would agree with, let's have them look at both, at least an evaluation of the comp plan while they're doing annexation, since there is a lot of overlap in activity, data gathering. A lot of data gathering.
Yeah. I want to point out too that the transit system last year would have been 78,000, but we got it for 39,000 because they were being funded for some COVID money. This year it actually dropped to around 69,000, so I guess we did have less riders.
Yeah, it's based on
Because it did
ridership.
drop, but they're getting 25% funded by COVID, and so we're only going to pay 53,100. By next year, unless something changes, we'll be back up to full par.
Carol, what kind of equipment you're planning on getting this year for 4,800?
More storage capacity for our plats. If you've been upstairs, we've got this plat, we're scanning and filing all of our plat maps and assembling ones that we didn't have copies of. So it's storage equipment for the hanging plat maps. And we got a similar one a couple of years ago, and that's the price of the cabinet.
Okay.
Then the other one we put in there was to paint the stairs and fix them.
Yeah,
and
there's
the
some
deck.
rotten, the deck has got a big rotten spot, and the stairs are all, need to be repainted. They're getting slick, and they weren't properly done last time. I think we did them in-house, and it just didn't, the paint immediately started chipping off. So the steps are getting dangerous, and it's got a rotten spot on the deck.
So
on
I
the-
don't know if that can be done in-house or whatever, but I think I did put some money in there.
Yeah. Some basic repairs.
To handle that. It was, did we put 5,000?
The what?
The maintenance department we don't have.
Oh, I think I put 5,000
Yeah.
in, but that, I don't even know if that would actually have anybody else do it on the outside, do y'all?
Mostly just the painting. The repair is just a few decking, but it needs to be pressure washed and repainted with the skid resistant textured surface, because the stairs get very slick. But you pressure wash the steps, all the paint's gonna come off. It's flaking. And no skid paint.
The building department, his has hardly got any increase at all. He's basically the same. Oh, I did put the 20,000 for the tree care and maintenance in here. And then there's the normal 42,000 that we use to cut limbs and whichever. That is two separate funds, but I did put that back into the building department. Beyond that, he had to have a special report last year on stormwater, so that's not gonna have to be done again for a while. You'll notice some of their budgets are going down because the telephone all came out. If they have telephones at all now, it's just cell phones. That way y'all, or their modems. In the police department, they're mainly modems, and it'll say telephone and modems. But he didn't hardly have any increases at all.
Did we ever get that 5-year stormwater thing that finished up?
That's swell.
Is that the 4,000?
That was, yeah, that's what we had the extra,
Yeah.
the extra 4,000 for
So that finally got finished up?
Yes,
Mhm.
we've got.
Mhm. That was what was in this last year. That's why you see it.
I know they were really far behind, that's why I was in there too. That was
Yeah.
finished.
Yeah, he actually, well, he got it pretty quick. I mean,
The
but
5-year?
That was, we had the 4,000 for the swell. No, our permit is 5 years for our permit itself. That's
Right,
what
which one
we
was
had.
it, Rob, that was still behind on for?
Well, that was,
Did the stormwater?
Yeah, that was MDEQ was
Yeah.
behind on the
Phase
permits.
3, phase 2 stormwater?
Huh?
Phase 2 stormwater?
Yeah,
And they
yeah,
finally got caught up with all that?
some of them they did. Everybody has turned the reports in. We hadn't had any reply. So we're still working on it,
Right.
but that falls under our normal stormwater stuff. Yeah, these split shapes.
Okay, so senior citizens, their maintenance dropped back down again because this year I had to add another air conditioner. That's why it increased. So it just went back to what it normally was. Community center has 10,000 in there for, Carolyn can tell you, that is a match on a $20,000 grant.
And that will actually, there's that, and the Mary C will probably get moved into a different fund. We just haven't set that up yet, so it'll be in a separate grant fund. That's the match for those, yeah, that'll get moved. We just don't have those fund numbers set up
Well,
yet.
it'll be a whole separate fund. It won't go in Carolyn's
No,
budget.
it'll go
be
into a grant fund.
Yeah.
But right now, that's where it is, because we don't have those fund numbers set up yet.
That was the grant for.
That's, this one is, there's some minor repairs to the fractured wall corner at the ocean. This is the, at the community center, and then there's 2 grants at the Mary C, one for the condition report and one for the emergency repairs. So those awards have been received, but we're gonna set up the grant funds like we always do, and that will get transferred into those grant funds. Well, it's emergency repairs for the windows.
Well, when we get to Mary C, you'll see they're in there also.
Yeah.
The Civic Center, I didn't really change anything. It's the same one. This year, we always put 10,000 for general repairs and maintenance. This year, they had only used 2,800, although I think we do have a leak out there. Yeah, so I'm not sure what that's going to, we may spend quite a bit more before we get to the end of the year. You have to remember the activity in the middle stops August 31st, so we have another month of stuff to pay. At the Civic Center?
No.
I don't know.
TPO roof, usually has a
Oh, does it?
25-year warranty, and that was done
9 or 10, yeah.
We need somewhere where all that information is kept on these roofs and stuff. We have to have a better system.
That was a nightmare, yes. That was the only project we've ever had to pull a bond on a contractor before, so.
Is that something you would have handled?
Yeah, I can't remember which funding source, but that was grant funded, so.
But it was Continental Roofing started.
Mhm. Mhm.
Left it exposed, we had to replace all the, ceiling tiles and everything went ready.
That was a mess. I'll have to go back and look. I can't remember which funding source that was, but I'll go back and look at Civic Center.
Well, that's good, I didn't know that.
They're not in the business anymore.
Yeah.
They skipped out.
Shortly thereafter, they were not.
Okay, so next we have the Mary C. So the Mary C, let me see what we need to look at in there, what I need to talk about with y'all.
What's the $6,000 for equipment and machinery? What are they budgeting for this year?
Hang on just a minute, let's see at the bottom. She's wanting to go with, digital, where you walk in.
Display boards with all
Mhm.
classes listed.
Okay, gotcha.
Like one on each side of the theater, and I think one of them's gonna take rolling classes, and we might can sell advertising for them. And then the other one might just be constant events, because we're trying to get more, gonna try to have more movies running of the events and all.
Is that gonna be where the other ones are now?
Are there some screens in there now?
There's
something-
there's the inserts.
There's some lid boards and
Yes.
lid boards.
I have to get approval before they get installed, so
Yeah, now, we can just go with one if y'all don't want to, that's up to y'all.
it should be fine, but.
I think these are on stands.
Oh, on stands? Okay. The other ones are attached to the wall, which were approved. They're fine. We just have
Well, I
to.
thought these were gonna be like these, but I might be wrong.
I was like, well, look on stands.
It's just a post.
Yeah, no, well.
I thought we were gonna have TVs like this
Just
or
gotta go
something.
through archive history.
It takes a couple weeks. They won't mind. It's just I have to document anything we do.
Yeah. And I don't think that's everything. I think, Rob, I'm not sure, because they're still, we're still having some equipment needs that they're still finding. I think the TVs and that kind of digital was gonna be 2,500, if I remember right. And so that, I can't remember what the other 3,500 would be in there for. The city match for grants that Carolyn's talking about are in there,
We'll
the
leave that out.
20,000. The special services, that at this point could be possibly to help do the things that Miss Pinson does. If you haven't saw that last thing that they put out, it's really unbelievable. Yeah, what are those called?
The costume ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're supposed to change that every quarter.
Mhm.
And so there has to be, you have to ship stuff, so there's some cost to having these shows. That's also for like Firefly and stuff like that, when we hire people to do things for the public, and the public doesn't pay. That's where that's gonna come from. The next one is the other cultural. The art insurance somehow is up in the Mary C. Somehow there was some combining, so we saved, Mike probably remembers that. We saved some money or something from that insurance setup, the way you guys are doing it now. The police department, let me see. I did increase the gas. I tried to increase the gas like 10% everywhere, because we're fixing to go out for the gas bid. That, I think, has still been very successful. I think we've saved quite a bit of money with getting the gas at the
That was one question I
location.
had, why did it go up so much?
Well,
And we were saving money now with it.
Well, I just increased it because,
Public process.
yeah,
We get a discount, but.
Yeah. I just added 10% because I'm not sure. I think we got gas for 208 last time,
Yeah.
or something like that. I don't know what the bid's gonna come in. Y'all are gonna see that coming in front of y'all. It might be. That's just what I've had with it.
Yeah, especially after I had to go through those oil fields, it's
Yeah.
gonna.
It kind of gets the same every year. When you get over here, his computer stuff right now, as long as they stay with PTS went up about, he's gotta have like a $44,000 update, and their yearly fees are gonna go from 36 to 52,000. He's looking at other companies, but what he was looking at was Tyler, and that's not gonna be an option. It was 600,000. Plus, we don't have any support with Tyler, so we can't. So there's someone else gonna come still. But right now, anything you change to is gonna be, the city now, because we are a service, most of these computer things are service-minded, we're probably up to 400,000 to 500,000 a year now in renting our softwares. That seems to be the way for the future. From Outlook to Tyler to Clara to everything. Let me see. His phones and stuff dropped from 80,000 to 16,000, but most of that, the chief doesn't hardly have any cell phones. That's mainly modems to run the camera systems. Is that correct?
You don't have any cell phones.
Yeah, I knew y'all didn't. I knew y'all didn't. I thought maybe detectives, but I knew it was very minimal. Yeah. Let me see. Well, y'all see the increases up by computer software and the equipment. As a matter of fact, I didn't say it, but we're gonna be upgrading 2 servers. I think I had a $63,000 increase for that, because the servers are from 2013 and 15. I think Rob was in there when they were explaining that. That might or might not happen this year. Unless the pricings come down, we're gonna try to nurse that another year, because right now, it's not where we need to, but we need to update our servers, because they are the brains of everything running, and they're both several years old.
The K9 supplies, we have the dog right now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, we do?
Mhm.
It's on the interstate. It's
Mhm.
not here locally.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's out with the young lady out on the interstate. So that's pretty well. Anybody got any questions up to now?
Patty, one thing that caught my attention,
Mhm.
and it's each department, the city's portion of the retirement. I know the legislature was talking about, I know we had to increase it just a few years ago, but I thought they had incorporated a schedule for increases. Is there any further?
They did not have any increase this year. It's at 17.40%.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was
Yeah,
any.
I watch it before we get into budget time.
Okay.
Hopefully, I think that next time if there's another increase, I really look for it to maybe have to go to the employees. I don't know if hers will keep hitting the government. Because the employees are at 9%. Yeah. So in the fire department, let me see. The only thing that's kind of different in here, I did put $700 in for their dog, because I know we want to help with, what's the doggy's name, Chief?
That's enough, and that's enough for vet costs and everything?
No, it's not enough. He won't let me put it all in. They pay for some of it, but I did try to put some in to help with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fine, because he only goes to the vet once a year now. We got him through all that,
All the puppy stuff.
and the dog food, I mean, he don't eat that much.
Take him off the
They
table.
don't feel like trifectas or whatever, medicine or whatever.
He goes every 3 months for that, but, I mean, it's not very much, 700 been enough.
Okay.
The chief didn't ask for that. I just put it in, just so y'all know. I thought we should help. I knew y'all wanted to help. Yeah. So we're gonna go on further down. The Fire Explorer program, the chief did ask for that. I think that's a school program. Is that correct, Chief?
It's a program that we've been looking at it's actually through the Boy Scouts of America. We're working with them. It falls under their umbrella, but it's not a Boy Scout troop, so to speak. But there's not one anywhere around here, and I believe it would be highly beneficial for us as far as recruitment and things like that. We're looking at teenage age, like 15 to 19 or 15 to 20, and very good program. So I wanted that to put in there so we could at least get it started.
So the chief does have in here, there's $10,000 for office furniture and equipment. That is actually new mattresses and recliners, because it's been 6 years maybe,
Yeah.
and they just get wore out. The chief's hoping to sell a fire truck, and if he does, that's gonna actually fund that, the fire truck. We had some on the hook, but they haven't called back, No.
So
So,
take deposits.
Right.
Yeah.
I took out the radios. When we get to 2%, I moved the radios, just so y'all know. I had it in here and I decided it was something that we could do out of 2%, so I took it out of general funds. Emergency management, the only real change in there is the code red emergency system. I don't know where that's at. I don't know if Vicki knows. Her and Megan and them are kind of driving that bus. Do you have any updates on that, Vicki? On the code red?
They put out a notice for people to sign up, how you can sign up.
So, hopefully we'll have that up if we have another situation. Yeah.
Press release. Yeah.
I think the notice is supposed to go out in the other board minutes.
Well, I have not done that yet because we were trying to see how many people were gonna sign up, because once we do that, that's gonna be about $1,200 for a mail out. And we're not sure we can't pull the information from here.
We stuff it in the board minutes.
Inserts are, yeah. But we can still do that. Water, as you know, the mayor can tell you, water's still struggling between Tyler and Eclaira. There were some ugly emails this week, so I'm trying not to add any additional in there until I can get these systems talking better. So next we have Public Works Administration.
Wait, Patty, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Under
ma'am.
fire,
Uh-huh.
I'm not seeing, radios.
I moved them. I'm gonna take them into 2%, yeah. Under Public Works Administration, let me see, so last year we had a project manager in here which we never put in place. And so their budget actually dropped some because I have moved that to the mayor's office. And we will talk about, in a little bit, the 5 positions that we're considering adding and all. Beyond that, Candace had asked that I put all the tires for general fund for the public works in one. We're still kind of combining so we can get a better cost estimate for y'all, and it makes it easier. Because if it's general fund, it's really general fund, and so it just makes it a little easier on staff. The street department, we still have the $30,000 in here for grass and landscaping part-time help. We're not, as y'all see this year, we only spent $15,597.50. I'm putting it in every year, but at $10, $12 an hour, we don't get a lot of takers. So
We roll it into sub it out.
we can do that. When you get down in there, let me see, there's a grass tree cutting contract. Right now, it's in there at $54,420. We could take half of the 30 if you wanted to and increase that to 70. And if y'all want to, would y'all like to do that? Do y'all want me? We're not managing to spend it anyway up in there. Is that something you guys would like to see?
Absolutely, because the current one's just not.
I don't think he's even talking about just that one, but
We're having to supplement our own people even.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Because, when it gets so bad out of control, rain days and whatnot, they're trying to play catch up. And we just need that fund, I think, increase so we can hire whoever to come bail us out.
somehow maybe we need to somehow let some of the locals know that we would like to have a list. So when we, what we have done in Public Works to try to reach out past Ocean Springs to get, because they struggle to get employees down there. And so we did some flyers, and Alan and them took them out to Van Cleve, and we put them in the laundromats and the grocery stores and all, just to kind of let people that, country folks know that, we do have a Public Works here and we are interested in employing, because they're a little better with this kind of work. Yeah. Well, it's true. Yeah, it's true, Bob. Rob, I can't help it. Country people just, they're better at that kind of
So
thing.
weren't we doing a grant for the students there in the summer?
MDOT discontinued that years ago.
Discontinued it, but is that where that 30,000?
That's where the estimate, because those grants were always 30 to 35, and we managed
I
to,
think that's what that
yeah.
involved.
That was just a carryover. But it was also a program that was for a short period of time, but even the last couple of years we did it, we had a hard time getting people to apply.
But hey, we're hiring them at 18. We just can't hardly get them. I mean,
No, I know.
yeah.
The 30,000, I thought that's what.
That's where it came from, yeah.
Grant for the kids.
So would y'all like for me to move 15 down, or y'all wanna wait and see how that goes?
If we only spent 15, let's put that line item back at 15, and put 15, this is my opinion, I mean, where we go, I think we need to put that 15 in grass tree contract.
Just keep that 30,000, just have, it's for grass help or.
Well, what happens is that top part is employees, so there's benefits paid. So what he's saying is he'd like to see it move further down to where it's people out of contract. So we could make that one 70,000 maybe and drop the difference back. I
We'll
mean,
get more bang for the buck.
That makes more sense.
yeah. So what I'll do is I'll increase that one down there to 70. Now, that don't mean it's necessarily the guy that has the contract now.
That's right. So
Yeah.
whoever can get
Yeah, it's
what
just
it is.
whomever you guys can, we've hired a couple of other
Like you
people
said,
here and there.
if it's just low, under
Right.
$10,000, probably get a list, treat it like a record rotation, just start using them all.
I'll have to run the numbers because once I remove Social Security, but I'll adjust it out to where there's 70 there, and then that'll drop up there to whatever that makes it be. It'll probably still leave it about 17, is probably what I'll do. Then, let me see, there's really nothing else in here that's different. I just budgeted the same that had been happening for asphalt, concrete panels, sidewalks. I did not really make a change with that.
Concrete panels are just for Ward 5, right?
I think Ward 5 may be the only one that has them,
Well, I'll tell
or
you,
maybe another one.
Concrete panel, that's a very low amount in that.
Very low.
Yeah,
They're
those
only
are
doing like 2 a
expensive.
year, isn't that right, Rob?
Well,
We
yeah,
need to start
but they
pushing
need
them to
to
do more.
What do y'all want to increase that?
That we can go. One time we had 50, 60 in there,
There should be 50, we can find it
but we
somewhere
never
else.
used it all.
Oh, we,
Well,
Because, he's got at least one neighborhood,
yeah,
and I've got every neighborhood that's
Right.
concrete.
and they supposedly been on the list to do for about the last 6 months. Every time I ask guys, the guy's gonna be back.
is that considered streets?
Yes.
Okay, so there's another, we have some other pockets that Mike could work with that. We might could transfer in from another pocket for those kind of things, if that's considered streets.
It is, I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely street power, street.
We need to put that in the capital improvement plan so we can,
And talk to the county and see if they'll let Mike and I, or whoever has concrete roads, to roll some of that out. So I mean, all my asphalt's done. In 2 years, mine was done. That's gonna need a little bit more in the future, but I need some concrete.
So the modernization tax is streets, water, and sewer. So if y'all feel like you wanted to use some of that to get these concrete panels, there's a pot right there. It wouldn't go in here, but there's another avenue.
we're collecting a list.
What Mike and I need to do is go get our cubic yards of
Yep.
concrete that we need and figure out how much it's gonna cost and see what we can pull that from. I know we can't.
There's an
do it all at
No,
once.
that's, you ain't.
There's no way to do it all at once. So I'm gonna go get it, I'm gonna have a master plan together,
Mm-hmm.
right, have every panel laid out and marked on the map that needs to be replaced. And then we'll pick the worst ones first, so it's just gonna work on year by year.
Instead of upping this from 20, I'd just assume let's plan to do the other
Yeah.
30 out of that, because we
Okay,
haven't touched
okay,
that.
4 20 by 20 panels, another 4 years.
Okay.
And the next item on there, the sidewalk for 20,000 will not be enough either.
Well, and we also have.
She does so much of that with grants.
Well, and we haven't really been able to focus on that, but that's, as those bonds that we know were coming in, will be coming in October. But between now and then, we just need to assemble a list. This is just something I haven't reached out to y'all on yet for sidewalks, so that we can go ahead and have an implementation plan for those funds when they become available in October. Actually, it's coming through a Tidelands fund, that appropriation. So that and streets, so we want to look at it from the capital improvement plan kind of point of view for all of the street work, so that we can use the bonds, the CARES Act and everything appropriately.
Well, I thought y'all got a sidewalk.
We're gonna have to
You
start
gonna get some money for sidewalks?
That's,
looking at those.
yeah, and that's probably something we need
So where's
to,
that?
once we get the repairs done through the Tidelands and whatever FEMA, we need to set up a rotating maintenance plan for that as well.
All down Government Street, at every drainage box, the sidewalk is sunk. We got a 3-inch lip at every box, and we need to get those addressed ASAP.
And that's all the way
And
down.
out of Rouse's, there's a new one that's actually about a foot has caved in. That needs to be.
So when that
fixed.
200,000 comes, should it be a change here in this budget, or is that gonna be something y'all wanna keep up with in a separate fund?
Probably need to
It needs to be in a separate, it has to be in a separate fund because those are, they're appropriations and bonds, so they'll have to be handled like grants.
Well, let's go get by,
Yeah.
but just know we need concrete money.
But knowing y'all knew that, I'm thinking I don't have to change this. Do y'all agree?
I didn't spend no concrete.
Yeah, that money ready for the sidewalk.
I got more quality.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, for that money, for the sidewalk money and the internet tax, we need a list of projects that y'all want.
We have a lot of work to do. Once we get the budget adopted, we have a lot of work to do to get ready for this big money and to discuss the loans.
Yep.
Just so y'all
There
know.
may be money for that.
This is an
Yeah.
operating.
But I just want you to know some of these sidewalks are an emergency fix, you know, project.
Well, this is an operating budget, but if y'all want to increase it, you can, but I didn't because of all that. Is he telling me to move on?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, everybody, we're gonna go to the shop. The shop budget is a little lower, and that is because I changed the percentage that was coming out of enterprise. I was doing 33%, and now I'm doing 50-50. 50 of it's general fund and 50 of it's enterprise. So that's why y'all see it a little reduced. Last year, we added the air conditioning machine and all, and I'm not sure how that's working out. I need to check and see if that's saving us money that we're putting the Freon in ourselves now.
That and the tire machine,
Sorry?
that and the tire machine.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
to see if we're actually using those,
We gotta have somebody
or if
certified.
we've got bills coming in from the repair shops.
Alan probably doesn't, I guess Alan probably didn't know this was tonight, because he would have probably been
It's
here.
still not regular vacation.
Oh, no, he's here.
Oh, is it?
Mhm. I just think he probably didn't know this was tonight. I didn't think to tell him. So,
Back to the city.
yeah, no, we brought him on back in.
Okay.
So maintenance, no really changes there. The only thing you're seeing the difference is just the 3% raises. And that's happening all the way around the house. Drainage, same thing there. They did get some new equipment this year. The drainage projects, I put it at 200,000, just like always. I had someone already ask me, is there a list? And I said, if there's a list of how those fall out, I'm not aware of it. I'm not saying there is or isn't. Yeah, I'm not aware of it. I mean, doesn't mean there's not one, just means it doesn't fall under me. Yes. Did we reach Ken a while ago?
Yeah, just say.
I've texted him, it was fine.
He doesn't text. No, I'm
He
just,
doesn't?
no, I'm just teasing.
I tried to call it.
Like one word.
Okay. All right, landscaping beautification. I did increase landscaping. I actually put 25,000 in here for contractual. If you'll notice, landscaping materials and supplies, they're not spending 10,000 a year out of the 25,000. Just so you guys know.
Yeah, but when you go into contractual landscaping, that's probably gonna take some more materials out of that.
Yeah. Well, I just added some in case y'all have some areas that y'all feel like that we need to bring in some outside source. So I did put, that's something that we haven't had that in there.
We need to talk to some people, see if we can get some quotes.
So used to years ago, we had a landscaper that worked 3 days a week. Well, when he first went out, at one point there was some theory of having him go around and decide what they put where, and then they'll just go out and do it. I don't know if y'all'd like to look at that again, but he was the planner, really. Basically, he drew up what it was gonna put everywhere. Parks and Recreation, let me see here. I basically budgeted the same as last year. I didn't really change a lot. Till we kinda get going and see what all we're gonna do over there. There's no distinctive major plan with this one, but just the normal, like today, out of improvements to buildings, I'm now buying cameras for the tennis courts. Little things will come out at different places as they come up, but we're getting more cameras up. We are moving forward. We are making ground with everything, in my opinion. I don't even think there are any. I'm not sure.
They do.
Would y'all like to see some at Fort Montauk? I can do that.
Possible.
I can tell you that tennis courts today, and there were 7 cameras, that was gonna be about 2,600. But there's no monthly after that. That's just putting it on a TV and whatever. So I can
Make
get,
sure those cameras can be tied into the police department.
should be able to.
They can monitor those.
That is not part of the
Well,
police
let's
department system.
look at that system that we just approved, we can put in, and see if we can tie some of these into that system.
Well, you're talking about, well, there's two new systems. You're talking about now the other system or the New Orleans
New
system?
system.
The new system?
That's also gonna tie in with the New Orleans system.
Okay, yeah. I'm in over my head now. I'm just gonna pull out here.
Just ask Mark
Yeah.
if there's any way we can, and Robert, did you get involved in that one, or no, that's, no, you was, that was
Yeah, mine is the ALPR.
the,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the two cameras right
Chief
now
brought
are
a new one in a couple meetings ago, that we approved.
correct.
Businesses can subscribe to.
Oh, okay, that is in the budget, that 25,000?
Correct.
Yeah, that's in here.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not keeping up.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Security.
Yes.
Yeah, I do have that as part of the police department's subscription stuff this year,
Okay,
yeah.
so if we need to add some, let's.
Make sure they can
have
tie
options,
in.
So we can have it all tied into that cloud that they have access to 24/7.
Yeah, I didn't know Fort Walpole had any, so y'all are telling me something I didn't
I know
know.
that would cost several people from those cameras.
Okay. Well, we can definitely get a price, and I'll definitely make sure that it's all gonna tie in to where PD can watch it and see it.
Yeah.
So then next, you see the Tacony budget, and, we've been putting 30,000 for general repairs and maintenance, but this year we've only spent 1,800 so far. So that was one reason I wanted to set this fund up, because I wanted to start building cash. So when we have repairs, it's not such a hard hit.
Hey Patty, I'm sorry.
Tacony Recreation Facility, yes ma'am?
Under the, Parks and Rec.
Yep.
Where it says instructor services.
Right, why there's no money?
Yes.
It moved up.
So it moved up to salaries because those two instructors have been here, that's the pottery people.
Okay.
One of them was being paid through payroll, one of them was not. And so they've been here so long, I moved her up, it was causing issues.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're not doing that with instructors anymore, like at the Mary C, but these are long-term people that's been there. So that's why that's negative. I mean, it's like he said, it's up at the top now. So y'all see the Tacony thing, so from now on, we will know exactly and we'll have a balance. We'll start building some cash there for repairs. And then the Ryan Youth Center, there's just 2,000 for normal. When we get to 2%, I will tell you what we're going to do there. This underneath here, this other, and I don't know if this is everywhere where everybody's seeing it, but those are the lines that we absorbed. I just actually put that on here so y'all could see everything that could have went out for the loans, but we've actually absorbed it out of our cash this year, which is pretty impressive.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we will not have to use, we won't have to get loan for that, which will just take us further in our quest.
Patty, I did have a question on the youth center, Ryan Youth Center.
Yep.
Maintenance. I did hear that we had roof damage during the storm.
Oh, is that right?
So
I didn't hear that.
if that's not covered by the insurance, the roof damage, apparently some shingles got blown off.
Did you hear that, Chief?
It was on the
It was in the
list.
assessment I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said it had a leak. On that list, and I probably should have told y'all that, I put roof damage, but in all three of them, I believe it was three of them, were leaks.
So,
But a leak is I consider damage, so I put damage.
we had a lot of
That new floor we need to
job
touch.
sites, but it's been driven rain.
Yeah.
Right.
But we also,
Right.
another thing we need to look at, Ryan Youth Center is the front porch, that roof needs to be redone, so that might be something we need to add.
Well, I can increase this if you want me to. I have 12,000 and 2% to fix the air conditioning issue. I think Mike can speak because I think he attends the events.
We need one more unit.
We need another unit, and we need some, a ductware, something in the top, I don't know.
A sock up.
Something, yeah. Yeah, but that I've gotten 2%. Now,
The only thing is the roof on the front porch is not redone and it's leaking.
well, if it's repairs like that, I would rather put it here, so what do you think I should increase that to?
Personally,
That
I think
other's
we could
kind of
do it
new.
in-house. That's my thought. We'll probably
However
have to
you
sell
guys
it
wanna
out
roll it.
To the maintenance department.
If we don't have it in here tonight, Bobby, when I adjust the budget, we can do it then.
Why don't we look at it, get an estimate?
We'll get it up.
Kind of see.
Yeah. This is just the starting, this is just the start. So that will be all of general fund, so we were rolling in, we have to have a cash flow because our big money doesn't come till January. Out of the cash flow, we have budgeted $1,092,450. That is up from, last year it was $830,000. The 3% raises are in here, plus there were some adjustments to fire and PD. There's 5 new positions in here. I looked today, we're up to 194 people in the budget now. That will be 199. We're almost back up to par. At one time, we were like at 180. Well, that's probably people that didn't have insurance. But employee-wise, I think that, so for the new positions that is in there right now, there's 2 maintenance ones, which at this point I was gonna assign in parks, because they seem to have all the buildings to take care of. Project manager and an administrative assistant who will also offset in the mayor's office at the front desk. And we had to add the 3rd court clerk. And as of right now, there's 1 more patrolman in there from when they gave up the patrolman for a dog catcher. That's 6, maybe there's 6 positions. So that's what's in this budget for now. So if you go to the back page, so the million minus, the income plus the cash flow I gave it, it just about made it about break even. And that is how we normally handle this budget. The city has to have $1.5 million to $2 million when we start until money comes. So we can't, we have to have a cash flow. Anybody have any questions regarding general fund? All right, we're gonna move into the 2%. First thing you're gonna see is the hotel tax. The Mary C, I took the website out of here and moved it into the Mary C. The city website is here. Some money for the chamber is here. The miscellaneous promotions last year was the flags. Remember when we replaced all the flags for the downtown? So then when you get into the fines and forfeitures and all, we don't actually budget those because PD doesn't know what they'll get. But you will see on here under the task force that they received like $300,000 this year, and they bought, as you guys know, I think they bought 7 vehicles. And so they spent like $203,000, and then we bought 2 vehicles for them this year also. Then when you get into the fire protection, you're gonna see the money's running a little different because we did a refinance on the chief's fire truck to try to get it paid off sooner. It was a 10-year loan. It was a bad loan, so now it's a 5-year loan, and it also is in here for the chief to lease the turnout gear for 5 years. And I think then maybe then, I'm not sure if you would turn it back in, chief, that would keep it, I'm kind of confused on the leases.
It's like a lease purchase.
Okay, so his payment would stay about the same, if I'm correct, to the last payment, and it might drop a little bit. And he has enough money to do that with his fire rebate money, to make his truck payment and do the turnout gear. So then we go into 2%. In 2%, let me see. I think I still left us, when I budgeted, right, well, we have received, as you see, $1.6 million, and I still lowered the budget a little bit. I think I'm probably about 200,000 lower than where we could be, but again, I like to go lower than higher. The working cash is gonna come over for this year because the pier's not gonna get done and all. It's gonna be about 725,000, so we're gonna start out, we'll have about 2.3. The fire radios are right here. I think the chief had told me 58,000. I upped it to 70 in order to get 7 or 8 radios for storms. That would be what y'all would be given during the storms. And I don't know if that's the correct number. I haven't got back with the chief because I really don't know exactly if that's correct. He can let me know, and we may just have to change it. That was just in my mind. Then the leases. We have 4 leases that we've been having. Those are with Mississippi Power. Except for the Musgrove light lease, that $157,000 is all the lights out at Highway 57. I think we have 4 more years. I think that pays out in 2026. Yeah, that's a really bad one, but there's nothing we can do with that one. Yeah. So then we move on to Tacony Gym. I've asked for a price to do Tacony Gym like we did over in the Ryan Youth Center, because I'm told that it takes the lights a long time to warm up. Someone was there the other day and electricity went out. They said they were in the dark for probably 6 or 8 minutes. So those lights would be, what are the other lights called?
LED.
LED. So that would be basically the same thing we did in the Ryan Youth Center. Then we have, I didn't put anything in here for the tennis court specifically, but I've got one down here that's going to be a catch-all. Since all the tennis courts have been redid now, redone, thank you, Rob. And we have an ice maker over there. We're about to get the tennis courts really up to par. I haven't been to see them, but I'm understanding they're looking great.
Yeah, we got a
Yeah.
grant to offset some of that, so that was
Yeah,
good.
and Carolyn's got 6,000 that's probably gonna, I don't know if it'll get back in. It may not make it this year. It might come
We
in
probably
next
won't
year.
receive it this year, but it's been requested.
So I think all they still lack is signs. There's a little bit we're still doing over there, and then that's gonna just be, that's gonna bring in a lot of people, I feel like. So then we go to sports complex. I went ahead and put another 100,000 because I really just can't tell what's been done, what needs to be done. Next year, we will look at possibly trying to maybe get a loan and go ahead and finish it out there and make there be more bathrooms. But that's gonna take a loan. That's gonna be a big project. This year, I'm just kind of keeping nursing it alone. Ryan Youth, that's going to be the air conditioning project. That's in bad need, I'm told by everybody. Gay Lemon, right now I have 350,000 in here. In my mind, that's the lights and stuff, but Carolyn also is going after a grant, and it's
Still working on
50/50.
it. It's 50/50.
Is that
yeah.
right?
It's 50/50, and it's Fish and Wildlife, but it's their land and conservation. It was actually the same source that created it in the 70s.
Mhm.
But that goes through National Park, and sometimes you get the whole thing, sometimes you don't.
How
So
much potential?
potential, I mean, the total project was 500, and I think that's either a 50/50 or an 80/20. But we had 500,000 of improvements identified.
Oh, we got that easy.
Oh, easy. That was just to address the buildings and the overhang and the core infrastructure.
This week,
This is not the fields, yeah. So that can go ahead and go forward. This is just the
well, we
buildings.
need
in it.
fencing. The football field is being done this week. Yeah, so the
Yeah.
football field is being done this week. Hopefully, we'll be ready for lacrosse and something else.
But we had identified some immediate things that needed to be done while we're waiting, because we probably won't find out about the grant for several months, so, yeah.
Mhm. So,
Yeah. It hasn't been touched since it was originally funded in
I don't even know
79.
350 if it's a macro. That's just where I'm at for now. Yeah.
It's a start, yeah.
So then, the dog park, that 3,800 still belongs to the fund that raised it. So I just keep putting it in here until they finish
Do
spending
they
it.
have, do they have anything they want to use?
I think at one time they said they were willing to put grass out there or something to help him.
That was
Mhm.
my suggestion, if they wanted to do that, maybe we can back some a little bit. 'cause
I think they're willing to do
We're gonna
that.
have to close sections at a time, put
Mm.
the grass down and let it establish and reopen them, so if they're willing to do that, let's talk to them.
I just keep moving it over because it's
Yeah.
money they raised. Marble Springs, I think that's a 50% match at 16.5. Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah, we had
Carolyn?
applied for up to a $100,000 project, 50/50, but there was a lot of demand this year, so it was reduced to 16.5, which gives us 32,000 total project.
Does that include the money y'all are gonna do to renovate the old jail cell into a chicken coop?
Yes, no. That is part of the project that will come out since our funds were reduced.
That too.
It was a jail cell, so, yeah.
It's gonna be chicken.
But I'll have to get with Parks to redo the scope.
Miscellaneous, Miscellaneous park equipment, that could be anywhere, any of the parks that you don't see distinctly that we know what's going on. There's 60,000 in here. That could be MLK, that could be Children's Park. That's just in there as a generic, because I don't know who will need what.
Well, we do have some money for MLK that really needs to be.
That's fine. I just don't know what it is yet, so we can move it to their line item.
It's a barbecue.
Yeah, that's fine. I kind of started looking at it. Okay, so Fort Maupaw, there's 20,000 in here. We're not completely finished. We may not need all of that. Things that are happening down there now are not gonna get paid for till next year. So that's just why that's gonna fall out. The pier, I'm moving that redecking over. That's obviously not gonna get paid for this year.
Is that still shooting for September?
October, I need to check with him. They wanted to go down there and start working. Oh, I need to go down there and make sure that the pier's still the same as it was before the storm. So,
Make
Well-
sure no additional boards,
right, yeah.
but we're not doing the force through yet.
That was, yeah, once we met with FEMA, they still would have only done the 200 boards, so we're back to where we were. Yeah. Let me
I thought they
see.
said mitigation was an option for everything.
Well, that was some kind of confusing. The mayor sat in on that.
They can mitigate the 200.
They're willing to mitigate it, but we couldn't afford the rest of that.
Or,
Yeah.
but not the entire.
Yeah. So they apologized, they kind of got our hopes up and that kind of went away. Yeah. Mary C. improvements, there's 15,000. This has to do with, I don't know, maybe something to do with plastic and the outside, and there's just several ideas that she's got over there. Yeah,
Plastic.
I don't know, she's looking at something you can build,
It's a
make
recycling
beaches and.
program that
Yeah.
she's asking the Chevron to participate in,
Mhm.
and it'll be mold injection,
Mhm.
where they can build benches for the city or other types of items that we like need.
I think public would love it because they can take their plastics there and they'll start whatever. Mhm.
That's right.
Mhm.
Who's gonna manage that?
She's got, one of the partners does that.
Recycle. Like, everybody bringing like dirty plastic.
No, it's gotta be clean plastic,
Mhm.
except it's
Maybe dropping it off at night on the front porch.
Well, we'll see.
That's
Mm.
She's got that, and then there's some, they're
Okay.
that, you know, she's kind of wanting to do something in the back there. Carolyn knows a little bit about that, a fence, and
She's-
try to
she's-
make that a rental where people can't be in there when you're in there.
Well, it's a good, there's an area in the back that she uses, that is used, so she's given me a concept that I just have to get cleared through archives and history, but I haven't talked to her about funding or
So
anything.
that none of that might not happen, but that's just stuff that I knew might be gonna go on over there. Economic development, so in that economic development, there's 50,000, and so 40,000 goes to the chamber, 3,000 goes to Butler Snow, there again, Songwriters Festival, I don't know, that's just different stuff that goes in there. I don't know where I put that actually. The next one is the interest on the bond, and then there's the bond payment. And then right now, we transfer 25,000 to general fund for festival overtime. I'm looking into seeing if that can be increased. I just haven't got the answer yet, since we're having so much overtime downtown from PD. So I'm hoping I can increase that number some to offset general fund. Transfer to water. That one is because I'm charging all of the Public Works' festival stuff to garbage now. It's easier because you don't know who's gonna work it. I couldn't hardly budget it. Transfer to the festival fund, 42,000. We're fixing to move into the festival fund, and that would be the part that we would move from 2% down. Y'all got any questions or comments that y'all want to talk about these 2% funds? Anything that y'all want to see in here that you don't see?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the sidewalks, and obviously downtown's gonna need a lot of sidewalk repair. I wonder if that 2% money would be used for sidewalk repair downtown.
I don't think so. But I think we have other options. I think she's got probably more options for that.
Yeah.
So the festivals, Board of Supervisors usually gives us 5,000 to help with cruising. Chip will attempt to raise some money for cruising.
We also
And-
did receive a grant that it's not on here because we haven't set up a fund, but that'll offset the cost of the entertainment for the block party. I don't remember the exact amount,
Oh,
but I'll
okay.
send that to you. It's like 6,000,
Okay,
something
well,
like that.
there's another income on here. If you get that, we'll put
Yeah.
that there. That would be great. That's great news.
That would be under the, under which one?
It would be in festivals or in 2%. We will deposit that there since
Okay.
we pay for everything out of there. So then we have contractual services. That's the stuff that Chick does for us. He does a great job. Cruising the coast. Somehow we paid the 9,000 twice last year the way it fell, so I budgeted less this year, because we've already paid the 9,000. It got paid in November, and then it really should be paid in, what, July, Chick? June or July? And I don't really know how that happened.
They don't invoice us until closer to the October, because their theory is sometimes it may not happen.
Mhm.
So they don't want to get the money and then not deliver.
Right.
But we'll work it out.
Paid for this year?
We paid last year and this year in this year.
Right.
Yeah, so I decreased the 23 down to 18 because he didn't need as much since that's already been paid. The 18 is for golf carts, the entertainment, yada yada. Mary C. Halloween at the Mary C. We're quite excited about that, or I am anyway. Mary C. is going to be hosting Halloween, and so I upped the money because we don't have any decorations. We're going to be decorating inside. I'm not really sure. Cynthia probably knows way more than I do about what's going on with that because I haven't been in any meetings. I think there's going to be somewhat of a haunted house and just all kinds of fun. I think it's going to make Mary C. come to life. So I'm very excited about that one. Peter Anderson, there's a little bit in here just in case Chick and them needs a little bit of electrical work and stuff and things like that. Every year I put that in there just for a little stuff. Christmas at the Mary C. So I've upped that a little bit because last year the big event was around 4,000, but then y'all decided to do 900 downtown somewhere. So I've upped it a little more because now the Mary C is going to need to be decorated a little bit more too, because we want to center everything to the Mary C. We want the Mary C to be decorated to work with these occasions, and so that I've upped it to 6 to try to work around with that. And Cynthia and her and Chick can wrestle that out. No. So
Do you really think 4,000 would be enough to build a haunted house?
we can do more. Well, we was doing 2 for candy. I still intend to have candy. I think Chick and I was talking the other day, if merchants come down there and city candy, maybe 700 would be candy. I don't really know. Is that kind of what you thought?
Well, they're going to get candy downtown if the merchants choose to do that. But if they don't,
Mhm.
then they're going to come to Mary C expecting, and we didn't want them to go away.
We wanted to have some candy, but we shouldn't need
Is
to.
this haunted house gonna be a paid haunted house? where people
I
pay
didn't
to
want
go
it to be.
It's not supposed to be.
I didn't want it to be. I mean,
No,
to
it
me, it
shouldn't
should,
be.
in my opinion, it shouldn't be. But
Are
that's
there
up
gonna
to
be
y'all.
any groups that are gonna like volunteer to participate, like?
Like some of her
youth groups and things
partners.
like that?
Probably the same thing like at Christmas and all, I'm guessing. I haven't, like I said, I haven't been in on the
Outside's gonna be
meetings.
very similar, yeah.
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 Mhm.
I don't
That's
think
Christmas.
I think she said that the vendors would bring their own candy down there.
Right.
The fire department was there with a truck or something like that.
Well, we're gonna need some candy from the city. Yeah, we gotta have it. Yeah. So I'm figuring $700 or $800 regardless. We gotta have some candy from the city. We can up that. I just kinda thought maybe 3,200 to get us going this year.
Probably more than that. But
That's up to
we'll
you
make it
guys.
work, whatever you do.
Yeah,
Well, they have some good partners that are really gonna help
yeah.
use their artist expertise and try to craft some of that to help.
I do want it to be great, so if y'all want me to up that number, I'm comfortable with that. I just have to up it all the way around. We just gotta figure out where we're gonna put all this from year to year. That's gonna be the thing, when we're buying this stuff, where we're gonna stage it to the next year. But I think it's gonna be
It
great.
could be put upstairs in the theater, can't it? Is that full there?
It's very full.
It's pretty full. It's got a lot of storage.
Behind the stage.
Yeah, no, it's full. It's got a lot of
It's gonna take some pretty big
set
props
pieces and props and stuff. It's pretty packed.
If y'all would like to see me up that, I'm comfortable with that. I just didn't want
Let's
to shock y'all
look
too
at
bad.
that, and we'll make an adjustment before we ratify the budget, once we get a better.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna have another meeting, we might get a better handle on this.
Yeah.
Let's see what's going on.
And how about Christmas? Are y'all comfortable with 6 for there? Cause I feel like the Mary C needs to be more decorated now. We're, trying to get everybody in. I mean, I think it's gonna need to be decorated on the inside some also, not just the outside. The $16.99 event, that hasn't happened.
So we're gonna do that this year?
Well, I don't know, I just left it in here.
The $16.99 was actually turned, it was supposed to be part of the new coordinator's position with the Mary C. to put this event on now. That was part of the deal, turning that over to her. I know she's had her hands full with everything else.
I didn't tell her that, so.
That was, that was supposed to be part of, that was gonna be part of the $16.99 with the History Museum and all of that.
So
But I think that's a lot to ask her to
That's-
put that on right now.
Just take that down.
We've got it in store and it's right.
If y'all don't want it there, we can add it to Halloween,
Yeah, just
that's
add
up to
it.
y'all.
Just add it to Halloween.
I've just
It's
always
not
had
gonna be
some
realistic
there for
us to
y'all.
Do that this year.
Okay, so I'll up Halloween to 5,000. I went ahead and put in 1,200 for Easter. I'd like to see us have an Easter event.
Is that gonna take?
I thought we did that already, the children's park.
Oh, well, the parks does, but my mind is all eyes to the Mary C. I mean, I really like to see, even if we have that over there, I still want to see the Mary C
So-
come to life somewhat for Easter. I just think it's important that we really utilize the building.
So instead of doing it at the little children's park, do it at the Mary C instead of having 2 major Easter events?
I didn't get that far, Ricky, to be truthful with you. But I just thought it would be nice if
I think it'd be
the
pretty
big,
over there.
New decoration.
yeah, I just want it to look,
Keep the event where.
Little Children's Park is fenced in, it's safer for the kids.
and there'll probably be a lot of baking, there'll probably have a lot of baking classes around Easter and all. I just want to make sure that the building matches what holiday's coming and all, that we're,
Yeah, that's just decoration.
I don't know if I got that for y'all, but I put it in there. Yeah, so.
Yeah, we're trying to move everything down towards the Mary C because of obvious reasons. Restrooms, plenty of parking. We can control the kids better than we can down at Marshall Park. That doesn't mean we're not gonna have stuff down there. The little children's park in town, yeah, both of them. But we're trying to get it down, more and more down there.
I don't know if we've really combined Parks' events with the Mary C yet. I'm not sure we got that far, to be honest with you. Yep.
A lot.
So, I mean, we would have just 2 events, I don't know. But I can take it out if y'all don't want to. I just have it in here because I think we should. Yeah. So the fireworks are in here. As you know, you guys raised $9,350. They were $11,800 this year. I could drop that money, but I just left it like always till we see what happens. So right now, when you look at the 2%, I think I'm probably $150,000 to $200,000 low. Yeah, probably $150,000 low on my estimate. And right now, with what I have in here, we would still have about 500-something thousand at the end. So there's some movement here for different things that could happen. But this is just the start.
So are we still considering like parades or comfort stations?
I took parades out because nobody really rode, and so I had to, and Daryl. And because a lot of them drive. A lot of these guys are driving and all. If you guys want to put parades back in, I'd be happy to do that. We do have to buy throws and stuff if we're gonna have one and put
For
kids.
the last 4 years, like, I could remember that we had to actually get the high school to ride one year because nobody rode. And then another year, I think the chamber.
We do ride. Cynthia and them rides with us. It's a city.
But it's
That
not
part's
enough to fill up the
good.
float.
It's not enough to fill it up, but that part
And
is
then
good to
COVID
mix
came,
it.
so we didn't have it.
Yeah, we even made Daryl and his wife ride one year.
And this is for Mardi Gras? or-
Mardi Gras.
Because there's the Christmas parade now too, we just go with Christmas parade.
That's just up to y'all. If y'all want to put some parades back in here, I'll be happy to do, if that's what you guys want.
All our parade expenses are already covered.
Well, we have to buy throws and
No, I'm not
stuff.
talking about
Oh.
floats.
Participate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, she's talking about expenses for the portalets and whatnot.
No, I was talking about
I'm talking about Jennifer.
I'm talking about that and parades, so parades and then comfort stations, two separate categories.
Well, comfort stations are in
for
garbage.
parades or for events, right?
For events.
Yeah,
Correct.
I've got that all in garbage now.
Okay.
Yeah, all the comfort stations are, you're gonna see when we get down to garbage. What we had in here was, because we had to fill it with city employees, the city was buying the throws. Because if we're gonna have a float,
Yeah, we got crucified over that. so-
we did, but if we're gonna have a float, we need to throw nice stuff. If it's a city float, that's just the expectation. So that's up to y'all, but it's not in there right now. So then we go to the library, and their budget's basically the same. They were like everything else, they got hit with the higher insurance. I actually did put in here this time, $20,000 improvement to the building. I think, maybe I was putting in there, Kenny can tell you, they had asked at one point about building a, what is it she's wanting to do out back, Kenny? You know,
Little outdoor park.
yeah, that's it,
Little
right?
pergola, yeah. Where, on the, out by our parking lot?
No.
A lot of room out there.
No, out there where it's blocked in.
Yeah,
They want to have a pergola, and there's some people willing to raise some money. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it wrong. I was trying not to say it.
just to cover that already bricked in area?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. And there was, I think there was a group willing to do quite a bit.
Won't be that
We're
much.
still looking at some stuff for that library. so-
That don't mean we have to spend it, I just went ahead and put some in here. Yes, it'll either be spent or it'll just sit.
There's plenty needs to be spent over there.
Yeah. So the debt millage is the next one. That one looks like we're doing good, but that's because we're going after a loan. And that loan is not in here yet because I don't know what the payment's gonna be. I'll have to adjust the budget. Right now, we've got our debt, I think, in a good place. The only thing in here right now is the bond and the radios lease, but we're fixing to be able to do some roofs and stuff. Once we get through this budget, we're gonna turn our head back to the loan. So, any questions on any of that? If not, we're gonna get into the enterprise fund. Still pleased, now that we're not doing the big transfer, that we're actually charging things out the way that they really should be as we go along. And it really works better anyway, because really we were cheating general fund the way we were doing it. So the income in water is about the same as always. If you guys will look there, you'll see that under the activity, we're doing pretty well. It's basically the same. Matter of fact, it dropped a little bit. We are absorbing, as of this point, unless we get where we cannot, we are absorbing the $1,040,000 of painting the 3 water towers. That is something that's available for the 2.1. We'll address that later if y'all would like to. That is something that could have came from there. So the administrative cost, that's made up of a lot of us. Some people it's 33%, some people it's 50%. That's people that are paid out of general fund, but also doing work for water, sewer, garbage, and so that's their cost in there now. Then we do transfer half of the cost for the shop because general fund pays it, so that's the only transfer coming out of the enterprise now. They are paying their part of the their insurance. I actually went through and checked their insurance, and so their insurance for their buildings actually was not $16,000, it's actually $21,000, so that's in here. They're paying 25% of the liability. So they're paying some of the audit. Then, if you don't have any questions, we'll go right into garbage and trash removal. It's about the same as long as the garbage contract stays the same. It doesn't, you know.
That is about
Did you do it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And it's a 4-year
We do it
contract.
every year, but it's a 6-year.
Well, we haven't,
It's 4 years with no changes with the option to renew 2 years.
correct. Okay.
yeah.
But when that renewal comes, then they can negotiate that.
So that's after the 4 years, is that right? Yeah.
We're 2 years in.
Yeah. You see, this year, there's a line item that I didn't budget anything, but y'all see we spent $5,682. That's where we were running all the trucks on Saturday to the dump. And we try to just track any additional stuff like that, so we get an idea. And, I'm not really sure if we just was behind. I'm not really sure why we were running them every Saturday, to be truthful. I think the trucks had been broke.
We had so
Yeah.
many down.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. So then the festival overtime, like I said, you never knew who Alan was gonna work, so I wasn't able to adequately budget those in those departments. So now anybody working the festivals is charged down here. It just stops those other budgets from going over, because you don't know who's gonna work the festivals. Then we have, you'll also see in all of these, we don't budget any, but storm, snow, and reimbursement. That just means we got ready for a storm, it didn't happen, and we try to track that also, just so we kind of know what those things are costing. Then we get down into the comfort stations. This year we've spent $10,966. So I budgeted another 12. That's for festivals or just any of that. So that's where that fits in that arena. The sewer electrician, nothing really changed there, but the 3% raise. Water City Hall, let me see. Computer software. Aclara went up on them, so you might see our software is a little higher, but they're still working on it, but we're hopeful it's gonna have it where we can let people know they have a leak, so we can help the public more. That is the plan. I'm not gonna say we're completely there yet, but I am watching it and talking to them at all points. I will let you know once everything's working cohesive together. I always put some money in here for water meters and replacement. I think a lot of the meters are beginning to go. The meters are about $100 each. Okay.
Hey, where's our contractual electrician? The one that we've been on, the contractor, doing the sewer lift stations and pumps?
Let me see where that would be. Hang on just a minute.
We call contractors.
I don't know. It is not in the city hall one. That 30,000 that you see in contractual in city hall, that is your water permit. The state lets us know what we owe, and it's about 29,000 a year. And that's what our permit is to have water. So it's gonna be more down in sewer. So let me wait till we get there and we'll see if we can find it. So the city hall budget actually decreased, but that's, trying to see why it really decreased. It's the 26,000.
The computer.
It's probably because they paid for Tyler this year, and now Tyler's paid for. So that would be the difference there. Then we get into water, the public works side. The guys down there. Let's see, no, it's another one that I had up, the chemicals. Let me see here.
Tower water maintenance.
You'll see some more money in here for engineering for Overstreet, and that's instead of putting it some in sewer, some in water, anything that is used in the enterprise that we want to keep a real lock on what we're spending is always being put in the water department, in the enterprise. You don't see as much of it down in sewer, but some of that could be for sewer. Let's see. JCUA, as you all know, I think that's the sewer side though. I upped the water a little bit. That might not have been needed. I can't really make that call, so I just put a little more in there just in case, because we're using more water. But we're also making it back on the other side. The water tower maintenance, we still have $707,000 out of the $1,040,000 that has not been paid out, so that's been moved into this budget. As of right now, we are carrying that with just our own without a loan, which I think I'm very proud of. Yeah. The water system, same number I've always used. So, is there any questions? The difference in that budget all has to do with the water towers. So then we go into sewer, and let me see if I can track where they're putting those. If we don't have a line item for that, Bobby, we could make one. If y'all would be interested in seeing.
So look up here, what about the contractual services where it's $3,083, would that have to be it?
Where, which one is that in?
Just contractual electrician.
It was in the electrician one?
So,
No.
it's contractual services of water.
Yeah.
Public works.
Well, there's a lot of different things.
Contractual service under sewer.
For
Yeah, so
4,000.
811 is charged in water and sewer. 811's like, that might be the 811 cost. Because it's about the same in each of them. That is, that 3166, you'll see it in water and sewer. That's what we have to pay to be a part of 811. Let me see.
So we have to pay
Mhm.
for us to send our guys out to
Mhm.
walk lines.
Mhm.
That
About
makes a lot
7,000 a
of
year.
sense.
And then we have to pay them.
That's another racket like this.
Mhm. So,
Tell them like it is, Rob.
You say the mapping.
is that in here? The
Yeah.
GIS, do you see it?
Yeah, under GIS mapping cost, that 12,000
Is that down in sewer?
in sewer.
Okay.
Well, and I didn't see if it was in water as well. It probably should be split, but it's actually a little bit more than that. It's like 13 something that we did.
Oh,
That's,
I see.
but that actually is going to get paid for out of a bond. So I'm not sure what this 12,000 is.
I did not put that in there, yeah.
Was that where we paid the interns?
Last time we paid, the interns only made $1,485. Interns have been very handy.
So, but the equipment's going to be purchased with the bond funds.
So Carolyn's letting y'all know, instead of renting the equipment for the GIS, instead of renting it at $300 a day,
Yeah.
we have found a machine that she can buy with a grant that's about $14,000.
It's bond eligible since it's for water sewer primarily, and it's the same type of equipment that we had been renting from Overstreet, but we can program it to the way we want the data collected. And so it will automatically, we had a demonstration and Public Works was there, and so I've got it started. In fact, it's a Trimble unit, yeah. So we'll be able to, and how we use it, whether we have interns or we have somebody do it or we contract somebody to actually go out and collect is to be determined, but we'll own the equipment. And that's bond eligible. That's actually on next week's agenda to authorize the purchase with the bond funds.
I am going to add a line item, whether I do it in sewer or the electrician, that will just track what we're paying the subcontractor to offset the electrician, so we can kind of keep an eye on that. Would y'all like to see that in the electrician's budget, or y'all want to see it down in sewer?
Probably an electrician.
Yeah, I would think you need to be an electrician.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, that's who we're hiring, an electrician.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna, y'all will see, y'all won't see it tonight, but you're gonna see me.
I mean, you could spread it between sewer and water, so lift station and the wells, but I think you just put it in an electrician. and be done with it.
Yeah, I'd like to keep it in one spot, because that way we can tell what they're getting. Yeah.
Kind of fun.
Right, kind of like the phone system, that's correct. So I will be adding that in the electricians and speaking to Public Works about that that's where we want that to start being put. Because they're on call out every other weekend, and we had them ready for the storms to go out and clean the sewer lift stations as soon as possible, to spray them down.
So Patty, this GIS mapping under sewer, do we know, was that for the, it's not for the equipment because that's going to be purchased under the bond. Was that for
I
labor?
probably put that there before you told me it was a bond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we will need to pay somebody to go out and collect if we don't have, because we really don't have the capacity. So we may want to leave that. I'm not going to go do it, no.
I'm just
Yeah,
gonna leave it
just
there
leave it
for
there.
now, and if it's an
No.
intern, we can move it up, we can do
Negative.
something different with it.
No.
Sewer improvements, I left them the same. Now, machinery and equipment, I left the 80,000 in there that they didn't spend this year for the camera system, but I'm being told that they would like to get one in drainage that's 156,000, but maybe water and sewer could pay half of it. I guess that's to put the camera into the big drainage lines?
Yeah, we discussed that,
Yeah.
because
Well, I did not put that in. That's gonna be talked about in the
anytime
line.
there's a need for a large camera, I'm guessing they're using the track, camera on tracks, and they can run in larger pipes. We're having to rent it, find somebody to come out and pay somebody to do it, but we don't have it. I think we have a push camera, but, do 4-inch, maybe 6-inch pipes with that, and you still can't see very much. So.
I have that down to discuss in the
I'd
loans.
like to discuss that with Public Works to see, get them to show us what they're wanting.
Yeah.
To make sure it's one that will benefit us in from 4-inch and up pipe.
Yeah, I'm understanding we can use it for drainage and sewer, but not water. Can't make that mix.
You can't shut it off.
Yeah, right. And so that, I was told was 156,000, but I pushed that out to the loans. But if sewer can use it, sewer could pay half of it. That's why I left that in here.
Let's look at that, because it's really a tool that our guys need. I can't tell you how many times we could have saved ourselves a lot of digging just to pinpoint a problem locations. It tells you exactly what footage it's at from where you put it in. That's where you go dig and you got it.
Okay, let's move
The
along
big
here.
saving is the JCUA, and I'm understanding the split lining, we think is what's helping save us a lot of money. So if everybody will notice, our JCUA cleaning our sewer went down 211,000 this year,
Good.
which it went up last year like 200-something thousand, so it just kind of returned, right?
And we're about to implement
But
some
I
more
think
slip
Carolyn
lining.
and them are fixing to do some more slip lining, so obviously we want to do a lot of that.
It's already out, it's already actually been awarded, so.
Yeah.
I hope I made the list because I gave it out 8 months ago.
It should, it was whatever the top, I don't have the list, so.
So as you see right there, water enterprise, income versus expensive. The expenses is a net 7,000, and that 175,000 is just what it takes to balance that budget. I'm not sure exactly how water and sewer end up yet because I haven't ran that way.
Background noise, did you repeat that?
Maybe. You can, okay. Anybody have any questions? Or anything you want me to look at or change before we get to the adoption?
I'd like to say this is the most understandable, well put together budget I've seen in 4 years.
It is getting better and better. I have to say, we're getting it more in line.
Does anybody have any questions about the budget?
He's busy praising me. Can you be quiet? Go ahead, Rob.
Move along.
Take your time, Rob.
Move along.
Okay. Is there anyone in the public who would like to speak to the FY 21-22 budget?
Yeah, I'd like to say, that's the best budget since 1981. That's the best put-together budget since 1981, and I've seen a lot more than you guys. And let me tell you what, that is the best one. The only thing she needs to do, and this is not critical, you need you need to be able to get a line number where you can refer back to it. Like if somebody asks for something, you
Yeah.
go to line 602 or whatever. That's the only thing you need to do, in my opinion.
Yeah. Thank you, Chick. Anybody else have any questions?
Anybody else?
We're all good?
Okay, we'd like to.
We're gonna adopt the levy tonight, because if we don't, we have to put it in the paper again, so they're on that next.
So
Yeah.
we, so I need a motion to close.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second, made by Mr. Black, second by Mr. Altamont, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Need a motion to adopt resolution fixing the tax levy for FY 21-22.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Black, second by Mr. Cox. I'll need a roll call. Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Need a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Ms. Black. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Hey, that was the best
How much
meeting
was that
I've ever
equipment
had.
that you were talking about, the camera?
I really didn't think it would take that long, to be truthful with you.
It's the only way he's ever been.
Well, poor Kenny's done heard it 3 times. How many times have you heard it, Kenny? 3 or 4 so far?
It's on tracks.
Yeah, and it's come up in
Then you
every
go up the
conversation.
sides,